Just to introduce myself first, I'm Anna Pozas. I'm a second-year master's student in the Marine Mammal Research Unit, and I'm studying sea lions in Mexico and in the US. And to start off today's seminar, we would like to first acknowledge the land that we're on right now. The Institute for the Oceans and Fisheries is based on the UBC Point Grey campus, which is located onto the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam people. And you may be joining us from traditional lands across British Columbia, Canada, and other places in the world. And we would like to acknowledge the owners and caretakers of those lands as well. I think it's always important for us to reflect on and learn more about what our role is while living in these lands. And so today I'm very excited to introduce our presenter, who is María José Espinosa Romero. And Dr. Espinosa Romero is the General Director of Comunidad y Biodiversidad, COBI, which is a nonprofit based in Mexico that aims to promote marine conservation and sustainable fisheries through effective participation. It was established in 1999, and COBI is focused on social change, collaborative work with coastal communities, academia, and governments for sustainable fisheries. María José began working at COBI in 2010 and was appointed director in 2021, 11 years later, so congratulations. She has a bachelor's degree in natural research management from the Universidad Marista in Mexico, and a master's degree from UBC, and yes, she's an IOF alumnus, and a doctorate on governance and policy analysis from the United Nations University and Maastricht University in the Netherlands. So with that, bienvenida, María José, and we're very excited to have you.
Thank you so much, Anna, and welcome everyone to this seminar. Allow me to share my screen. Thank you. So it's an honor to be here. I was really excited since I got the invitation because I'm an alumni, and this invitation brought back a lot of memories to me of Vancouver, of the time at UBC, and also, so as I was saying, and I used to attend these seminars, so it's really nice to share now what I have been doing after the master's I did in Vancouver. So, and before I talk about sustainability at scale, I would like to share with you a bit of COBI's and my own experience to get to this point. So as Anna mentioned, I'm from Mexico, from the South, and I got really fascinated about fisheries since I was doing my bachelor's. And at that point, I thought that I had to migrate, as fish do, to the north to get immersed to fisheries, because in Mexico, the fisheries are concentrated in the Pacific. So I decided to move to Mazatlan, to the north of Mexico, and work for the Fisheries Commission of the federal government. And I did there some of regulatory work for fisheries. And then I did my master's, kept moving up north to UBC to study more about ecosystem-based management, which was becoming popular in Mexico, but we didn't know how to advance it and implement it. So I got very interested in that topic. And there I got to know COBI when I was finishing my master's, and I was very curious about the work they did for integrating small-scale fishers and those invisible voices into marine conservation and sustainable fisheries. So I started my migration down. So, and yes, I got to know that COBI was working for marine conservation and sustainable fisheries through effective participation, and the vision of our organization is to make coastal communities or help coastal communities use marine resources sustainably, and also to become co-responsible in the conservation of marine biodiversity. If you were to ask me what are the main ingredients of COBI, I'll say that it's community-based work and citizen science. And the COBI started in the Gulf of California in the Midriff Island region, which is located in the mid part of the Gulf of California. and started also to migrate to expand its work in the Baja California region, in the North Pacific, and then in the Caribbean, and in the last year we started work in the Gulf of Mexico. This allowed COBI to work with fishing cooperatives and fishers that had different levels of organizations, and also to pilot demonstrative models on their different scenarios, and that implied different fisheries, different ecosystems, different subcultures of Mexico. So this expansion had transitions for the organizations. First, the organization started with a program in the Midriff Islands, and then we had 3 regional programs, one for the Gulf of California, one for the North Pacific, and another one for the Caribbean. And at that point, the organization started to bring this local this community-based work to the eyes of public policy or decision makers, and the organization started to influence public policy at national level. And from there, and that's when I joined COBI, when in this transition from 3 regional programs and this work of influencing public policy. And from there, we moved to national programs in different themes. And by 2019, we already piloted these 4 lines: the capacity building and empowerment of fishing leaders and organizations, sustainable fisheries, and then at that time, international standards were introduced to Mexico. So we were showing how these standards could be applied to different fisheries. Although we work with industrial fisheries, our work focused more with to small scale. And also we were working with no-take areas and in collaboration with fishers to demonstrate that fishers actually are active in the restoration of marine fisheries and ecosystems, and are willing to not only be active, but also participate in management by generating information of poor information sites, and of course, all the work around public policies. In this year, the organization already worked with demonstrative models in 34 communities in Mexico, with 51 no-take sites, with different types of fisheries. We had 2 generations of capacity building program for fishing leaders. One of them focused on gender equality. The organization started to position itself in this arena of gender equality at sea. We had trained 22 commercial divers as divers that monitor the ecosystems and fisheries. We also were working with the government to create a scoring guideposts based on international standard to put available information on the sustainability of Mexican fisheries for consumers, and develop a national award for sustainable fisheries and aquaculture with the Congress and the federal government. And also we consolidated our trajectory in the academic world by publishing papers, some of them in peer-reviewed journals, international and Mexicans, and also book chapters and reports. So when we got to this point, we were like, what else? What to do? How to move forward? How to have greater impact? And that's when we decided to expand and to scale our work. And we understood that COBI was only one fish in the sea, and if we wanted to have greater impact, we had to move from these demonstrative models in specific coastal communities to scalable solutions that could be applied in other sites and fisheries, and also to involve fishers in this co-production of knowledge, and also this theme of resilience, which became way more important in the context of the pandemic. At that point, we said, like, we need, this will help to increase resilience and to have greater impact on ocean sustainability. So the strategy we created for 2020 to 2025, before, from the experience in the field, of course, we saw that fishers, especially small-scale fishers, were particularly vulnerable to global changes and shocks, and this was increased to a new degree in the context of the pandemic. We thought that fishers had little opportunity to share and interact with their peers in a wider community, and fishers were adapting to these changes every day by making decisions, using their knowledge and available information. And this flexibility allowed them to create new solution techniques, find markets quickly. Of course, some of their choices move them towards sustainability, others don't. And we thought that all this knowledge could be really an important input for fisheries management and marine conservation, especially in the context of Latin American countries where fisheries continue to be data poor and with underfunded management, and also with a lack of participation of a small-scale fisheries sector, and in some cases there is participation but very weak. So that's how we were thinking of this, and for our strategy to 2025, we decided to scale our work and to connect 300,000 fishers for the co-creation of solutions for communities' resilience and ocean sustainability. And so what I will be talking more about is the process we have been going through in this strategy, how we have done it, and what we are learning, and what are our next steps. So when we started this work, of course, we thought that complex problems needed novel solutions, that two heads can think better than one, and 300,000, of course, better than two. And we were thinking that if we consolidate this network, not only in Mexico, but in Latin America, fishers could start sharing knowledge, innovations, capital opportunities. And within this big network, we could have themes and for thematic areas or groups per sub-region. And we could also have a core group that is behind the scenes that are representative of these fishers, that provide the common vision, the network action plan, and oversees the governance. And we thought that by documenting solutions that were developed by communities, this could be scaled. And also the connection between fishers could inspire innovations, but also improvements within, more innovations through improvements of the current solutions. So we created these 3 programs with this transversal work. The first program on innovation, which target is to connect these 300,000 fishers through technology, through a digital infrastructure, a connectivity program that creates this social network or core group that is behind the scenes, checking overseeing the governance, but also making sure that the solutions are in place and are financially sustainable. and also scaling up program, because we were working in Mexico and we needed to expand our work in Latin America, and we know that we need to get more familiar with the context and how to engage fishers from the other countries. And for the lines that we identified for the transversal work were to involve women. That was a theme that we were working 2 years prior to this strategy. And also the new generation of fishers, because we were used to work with our current generation of fishers, and we thought that there is a lot of potential of involving youth in this work. And from previous work, we were seeing that the sons and daughters of fishers were coming back to the fishing activity. 11 years ago, when I joined COBI, we thought that the fishers said, the current generation said, like, we don't want our children to be fishers because it's not a good business now. But we are seeing now the returns of kids to the activity with with higher education and use of technology. We know that we also needed coordination with key allies and actors, and we were very interested about piloting this human rights-based approach in order to pursue social and environmental justice. This implied an escalation process, and this was another interesting piece of this strategy, because rather than it changed the way we planned, because we used to have gradual goals, until we achieve the end goal, and we made sure that we achieve that goal and that we put numbers that we can achieve and all that. So when we said like 300,000 fishers, that was like a big numbers for us. So we decided that rather than planning gradually to get to the 300,000, we each year would plan to reach the 300,000 and to see what's the impact of planning that way rather than how we used to plan before. And we also had this app in before starting this strategy, PESCADATA. And this app was developed with fishers to have the records of their catch for those fishers that were part of fishery improvement projects for different fisheries. So we already piloted this app, which was only for logbooks. So for the new strategy, we decided that rather than creating a new app, we will expand the use of PESCADATA. And we decided that going beyond the logbooks and add to create a digital ecosystem rather than a digital an app for logbooks. So we plan to add tools for fishing organizations, also to have these solutions modules so people and fishers can exchange solutions, to have the communication channels so fishers could, if they were interested in certain topics, could have specific forums for that. We thought that it would be important to translate these efforts to contributions to the global agenda to make more visible their contribution in a larger scale. And also we thought that it would be interesting to try the interoperability, which is to connect PESCADATA with other platforms. So we could benefit from sharing information, and fishers could have access to larger, to more connections and more information on small-scale fisheries. So, and we kind of picture this digital ecosystem created by fishers and for fishers that create and share value from their interactions, and in certain way allow the knowledge and sharing of innovations and capital in a flow back to the stakeholders involved of the ecosystem. So PESCADATA now became the digital ecosystem through which fishers can connect with their peers for this mobilization of knowledge, solutions, and capital opportunities, but also an ecosystem where they can connect to other key actors for new collaborations and access to information. So then that was, so we were ready to start, and we got the pandemic in the beginning of our strategy. And it was very interesting because our partners, our community partners, were telling us that they felt more isolated because they had to close their communities, to close access of their communities to foreigners because they didn't have the health infrastructure if they got the virus. So, and we also, as we stopped going to the field, we were an organization that did a lot of field work, and so we were thinking like how to keep this like a solid communication with our community partners in the context of the pandemic. And we thought that maybe we could be a vehicle to raise their voice. So we decided to start a national consultation on the social and economic impact of the pandemic, because also the fishers in Mexico were impacted by the pandemic before the lockdown in Mexico, because especially those fishers that were exporting fish to Asia, for example, they saw markets closing in December. We got the lockdown in March 2020, but some fishers were having impact since December 2019. And then when the markets of Europe closed, when we got the lockdown in Mexico, the fishery sector was already very impacted, and that was another thing. And they were concerned about where to sell fish, how to get access to the COVID information, how to get access to information on sanitary measures, on recovery opportunities. So we started with our community partners, but this was growing, with other fishers. So we decided to do this national consultation. At first, we thought that we would do the social and economic impact, but then we from this communication with them, we decided to run the national consultation through December, and to have these monthly reports that were shared with them in case they could have information about for them to have information of COVID, but also to use the information if they need something, from for example, from the government. And so we run this national consultation, and that opened collaboration with more fishers, not with new fishers, but with more fishers, and also with the coast located in the 17 coastal provinces of Mexico, with more types of fisheries. So our staff became like interviewers with these fishers. We got almost 500 people involved in the national consultation. So our staff was calling to these people over every month to know their perspectives on this, on the different themes. And also we created a WhatsApp group because we were in the developing phase for expanding PESCADATA. So we weren't ready so we had PESCADATA, but it was for logbooks. So we were beginning but that made us accelerate our plans, but we created a WhatsApp group while we were developing the app so then we could migrate to PESCADATA. And through the WhatsApp group, we were sharing information on COVID, on economic opportunities for the recovery and that sort of information. And also because we were very used to do field work, but in partnership with the communities, then we couldn't go. So we were, they started to do the field work and we started to supervise it from the distance. So we had these conversations on how to do it and how they can do it themselves and then send the data and all that. But it was a really key move because that increased the leadership of the communities in the projects and of course we started to see that the cooperatives started to have the meetings in Zoom and other platforms. So in some cases we have them, with the Zoom account to do their meetings, and we saw that in Latin America, not only in Mexico, through a partnership we have with the regional office of FAO. And after delivering these monthly reports to Fishers, we compiled all this information and published this paper if you want to check it out. And also a book that you see in the left of the publication that compiles the reports and is a book dedicated to the participants of the national consultation. And then from there was a group that was taking pictures. So we also opened a group that is taking pictures of the impact of COVID, and it has been since 2020 to date. This group continues. The idea is to have the documentation of the full period of the pandemic for fisheries. And last year, by the end of the year, we organized a contest, not only for Mexico, but also for Latin America of these pictures. And so we have already the winners for that, and we want to make a compilation of a book of photos of the COVID impact. So I think that from that year, the 2020 was a big change for us as an organization. Also a big change in our collaboration with partners, and also the door to new collaborations in using digital communication. So last year, one of the reports we did was on the use and access to technology. So we we're looking at. We knew that fishers, well, at least in Mexico, a lot of them have smartphones, and they used to communicate with us through Facebook and WhatsApp. So we were checking with all of them. Not all of them were our partners. There was like almost 500 fishers participating in the national consultation. But we started to see this digital transition in the fishing sector, and all with the use of smartphone, more social media, seeing potential opportunities with e-commerce. So we thought like, oh my, this can become a great opportunity to connect fishers. So this is the work we did for 2021. We decided to start with a social media campaign with and our audience were like individuals, fishers, and also fishing organization. Because we already had almost 500 fishers participating in the national consultation, we called each of them to say that if they wanted to be part of PESCADATA and Innovación Azul. And also we had a call center. We never before did a call center to reach all the Mexican cooperatives and ask them if they want to be part of this initiative. And we also piloted community-based influencers. We know that in each community there are leaders that can inspire others to be part of something. And also we were observing that some of the fishers were influencing the digital space. So we thought, why don't we get a pool of them and pilot how this would look like if we do that. So by the end of the year, we already had 1,000 users in PESCADATA, most of them from Mexico, but also from other countries, from 9 countries in Latin America. We are increasing the use of logbooks, and through the national consultation, we started thematic groups. So we are working in different teams, and we started to compile solutions that of coastal communities towards COVID and other challenges they are facing. And this in order to create the module in PESCADATA to know what type of information they share or type of action they do and what changes they observe. So we can create a module that is adequate for these for fishers, because we also know that there are platforms for solutions, for ocean solutions like Panorama Solutions or the Ocean Hub, but we wanted to make something for fishers. So we with this we use the structure this solutions platform used to think about fishing community solutions, but then we had to adapt given the type of information and that they provided. So PESCADATA is available now in Google Play and App Store if you wanna check it out. And here I put some examples of the fishing, the community-based influencers. For the digital ones, our dream is that at one point they also use these as other influencers, that they can promote other brands, not only PESCADATA, and have a source of income from promoting other fishing related brands. So what is next for us, or what is the work we are doing now? So this year we want to test what our impact is if we focus on women, youth, and fishing organizations. And then because we piloted last year the community, the project with community influencers, this year we want to expand this work, but looking for women and youth that help us with this. And also, we think that the call center was more effective than having our staff calling. We had to train the call center, but it's more effective that since they have been trained for that, And so we want to pilot that in other countries in the Caribbean, where we already have some partnerships, but also in Colombia and Ecuador. For us, it's really important now to include the module of impact, you know, so we can as we already have the module of solutions, it's really relevant that we translate that into impact in marine conservation and sustainable fisheries. We want to use the FAO's small-scale fishery guidelines on SDG, particularly the 5 gender equality, 13 climate action, and 14 life below water, to know how the solutions translate to that. We would like to do some interoperability work with other platforms. And we are already creating the business plan for Innovación and Azul and PESCADATA, because as we go, we know that technology development requires dedicated attention and time, resources, etc. So we are thinking we would like to create a social enterprise that works in that piece of technology development that has its own legal and financial structure. By exploring a bit this area of work, we know we are getting to know that for the social enterprise work, you need to ensure profitability, you know, how you get income and make the enterprise profitable, but also to ensure technology development and the impact on environment and socially. Thank you. And also we are thinking, as our work is community-based, that we need to include, or we would like to include, the outstanding fishers in marine conservation and sustainable fisheries to become shareholders of the social enterprise and participate in the governance system. And we're in the process also to decide what will be the relationship with COBI, with the social enterprise. We know that these relationships between non-profit and profit organizations are becoming more popular and more explored. So we would like to, we are defining how to do that. I will leave it there, and again, saying my thank you for the invitation to these seminars, and I give the floor to Colette and Gabriel for the questions and answers section.
Thank you, Maria. First of all, I would like to say that in the chat, you can find a lot of information posted by Valeria on your presentation. I think Colette got the first question to kick off the Q&A. Colette, if you want to ask your first question.
Sure, I'll go ahead. And then just a reminder, you can raise your hand, everyone, if you want to ask a question like Nicola has done just now. And you can also type in your question in the chat box. So I'll keep my question short, Maria. I loved your presentation. It's great to know about all the great work that COBI and how you have rolled out PESCADATA. And I was particularly curious about the gender dimension that you highlighted at the very end. If you can give us a quick example or two about what you're specifically going to be doing in that space.
Yeah, thank you, Colette, for the question. And first, we would like to make the visible in a systematic way the contribution of women to the different stages of the value chain. Also, we would like to put efforts to, as for example, integrating community leaders, that we ensure that women are represented. Also youth. These are the two sectors we want to involve more. and also that they have access, to these opportunities to co-create solutions and also capital opportunities. And so we are making sure that, for example, this year we are saying, like, from all the people, and we have also indicators for this year, at least 20% of the people that are in PESCADATA, we need to ensure that are women. If we get 1,000 solutions, we need to ensure that this percentage is also present, and this percentage we want to increase it over time. And as in other countries, we from research we did before this strategy, the contribution of women is invisible, and because of that, they don't have access, for example, to loans, and also the work is undervalued, and all these things that we see in research we are trying to address by including percentages and focusing actions on that.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you, Maria. I think we have a question from Nicola first, and then after from Andrea. Nicola, I think you're muted.
Mute. Can you hear me now? Okay, great. So thank you for a very inspiring talk, Maria. I had two questions. One was, your work requires an incredible amount of collaboration and cooperation. And I was wondering, how were you able to overcome the barrier that people, particularly I know in fisheries in the Bahamas, tend to compete with one another. So they're very secretive about where their fishing places are or the type of technology they might be using. So I was wondering how you were able to kind of get over that tendency to compete in order to get people to collaborate. And my second question is, I noticed that you're moving into the Caribbean, and I'm from the Bahamas, and I was wondering how you were getting over the barrier of the different languages that are spoken in the Caribbean, from colonization. How are you going to incorporate that into your app?
Thank you, Nicola. The first question, by talking in the escalation context and in the technology development context, we are ensuring that we call it data sovereignty. So the information you provide about your fishery in aggregated terms, you can see it in contributions, but no one can access your information if you don't allow them to access. So this is a way for them to, because here fishers keep the records of their catch in their notebooks and all that. So one incentive is that they do it digitally, but without necessarily sharing it to everyone. But anyone can see the aggregated data in terms of impact. And also, but from our work, from our experience before, working in sustainability in local spaces with demonstrative models, we also observe that sustainability relies on collective action, like you cannot do it yourself. It requires, these collective efforts. And we know now that if there is a common goal, people will collaborate to a certain extent. Mm-hmm. Maybe you won't share all your data, but if you want, it's like the Nash theory. If you have a common objective, you will cooperate. That doesn't mean, that you will share everything. And the language piece, we will start with the countries in the Caribbean that speak Spanish. We have now the app in Spanish. And we are trying to figure out what to do with the English part in the Caribbean and also with the Portuguese. But for now, we have all in Spanish.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next one is Andrea.
Thank you, Maria, for that excellent talk. I really appreciated your storytelling and just walking us through the context and how this came to be. I made a comment earlier on in the chat about it really marked me. I've heard that in many places that I've worked as well, of fishers not wanting their children to follow the same path that they did. And I'm curious, I mean, I know that it's probably a collection of things, but what would you say is most critical to turning that around and to seeing the escalation that you've been able to see?
Well, I thank you, Andrea. So we did some research on youth, and also on, we call it new masculinities, to explore, education, the relation woman-men with the new generation, and like we also have a paper. I'll make sure I share it. But that helps us to make a strategy, and we are seeing that the new generations have higher education. They use technology. Fortunately, one of the things with the pandemic is that at least for public spaces, the internet is more available now because, the classes, So we are seeing that and there is not that much of different, like the new generation accept that woman is involved, that they collaborate. It's different, and it depends also how their experiences, not like the current generation that in some cases is about luck or they don't have the infrastructure to collaborate. So we are seeing, we did some research and we are incorporating this to our strategy. But this work with the digital work is beginning.
Thank you for that. And I'll look for the paper.
Thank you. And the next one is Rashid.
Yeah, Maria, good to see you. Good to hear you. And congratulations on all that you've been doing since you left us. And it's quite amazing to see the ambition level of your organization and you yourself. I mean, reaching so many fishes. As far as I know, I don't know any group that has reached so many people. So that is excellent. Now, my question is, what did you learn at UBC that has been very helpful for you, right? Because it's not something you learn in stock assessment or bioeconomics, right? All the things you are doing. So what have you learned that has helped you, and what would you love us to include for our students to be able to take up this kind of huge stuff,
Thank you, Rashid, and it's good to see you too. Reacting to your question, because I haven't thought it, deeply. It's a coincidence that I went to UBC to learn about ecosystem-based management, and for me, like, ecosystem is like now has a wider meaning, because now technology, the pandemic, but it's this system thinking, and it's also about listening to others and being curious about, how to help and how to, because the organization also, COBI does science and is very keen about the publication, but how to do it relevant, you know? So I think that from this background at UBC, you know, about this system thinking, contributing in a piece to that system, you know, that you know that you won't solve the whole thing. But if you have the system thinking, you will be more precise on how you can contribute to it. And I think that in this context, in the context of the pandemic, has changed, you know, like it has. And also I remember in our classes and even your classes, Rashida, you were telling us, think outside the box, you know. And so I think that humanity has shown a lot of adaptation, you know, and solidarity, and I think that we need to this adaptation potential we have, you know, to overcome some of our challenges. After the pandemic, you know, some of the things don't look that big, you know, than we used to see them before. So I think that a lot of technology resilience. I mean, we started to study resilience 20 years ago or 15 years ago, and now we are applying resilience. So I think like these fields of technology, global shocks, and this it scales, you know, at scale. I know you manage all these things. Like now they seem more relevant, at least to me, and at least in this transition phase of the work I went through with COBI, no, from working locally to think in wider global, and how to link, because you cannot lose the link, and because the you know, the changes are in the water and in communities, but the link is needed. I get very excited.
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, fantastic answer, and yeah, thank you. It's great. I feel like I wish I could just take you and put you in front of some of the top politicians around the world. So you tell them this. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maria Jose. It was really inspiring talk, and I think everybody can take something away from it. So we'd like to thank you on behalf of UBC's Institute for the Oceans and Fisheries. And yeah, it's really great to see how COBI integrates gender equality and new generations and youth into the work that they do. So I'll definitely remember that.